Microphones warm, conversations grow. Real life unfolds, camera steals the soul. Whispers of truth in the crowded dark. Every word a spark, lighting up the heart. Raw moments cool, ain't no makeup here. Struggles and dreams all crystal clear. From dawn till the dusk, stories take flight. We break through the night till the morning light. Static phase, real talk springs alive. No script, no disguise, we all survive. Voice to voice, we find the common ground. In this podcast realm, the real is found. Tough days, hustle, laughs and tears. Minutes like rivers, flowing all our fears. Every line unscripted, every tale told. Living out loud, never growing old. Reality shakes hand with the story raw. Every heartbeat, a rhythm for all. Hold the line tight, let the truth unwind. In the echo chamber where we all find. Stories untamed, dancing in the air. Unified voices here to declare. Deep cuts and high vibes, we all see this podcast unraveling you and me.
All right, hi everyone. Hopefully you all can hear me and hear mom. I know the timer was frozen. I was trying to watch it on my phone and see what's going on. The timer was a little wonky, but we're just testing things out. This is new. We're trying to launch up our podcast. So we are just getting ready. So please, if you're watching, let us know if we're on screen. Let us know if you can hear us. And we are going to get started. I'm super excited about starting this podcast tonight, and we are getting ready to hop on in. Okay, y'all can hear us. I'm watching it. Um, so let's get ready. So welcome to the For Real Podcast, where we have real life, real stories, and real talk. We may cry on here, we may laugh on here, we may scream, but we all drizzle a little love in between so we can move forward. I'm the host, Amelia Smith.
And I am the co-host, Jacquees Smith.
And we are so excited. I'm so excited to have you all join us tonight for our very first episode. And today we're exploring a topic that speaks to the heart, a mother's legacy, lessons and from loss. So let's talk about our mothers. and dealing with the loss. Mama's going to talk about that, and just talking about love, the a relationship with our mother's love. So we'll talk about the impact mothers have on our lives, how loss can reshape our understanding of legacy, and the lasting love that continues to influence us. Whether you're tuning in with memories of your mothers or curious about the depth of bonds, hope this episode offers insight, comfort, and a sense of connection. So grab a seat, settle in, and enjoy this journey as we talk about the beauty of motherhood and a mother's legacy. So, Mom, I have a question for you. Can you share what it's like losing your mother at the age of 16? And how did it affect you at the time as you grew older?
Oh, okay. So, um, as a lot of you may or may not know, yes, I lost my birth mom at the age of 16. I I had just celebrated my 16th birthday in April, and my mom passed away. She had a heart attack and passed away in July of that same year. Um, and so I was in preparation of getting ready for school that following month. So my mom passed away July 31st in 1989. And so I um I felt devastated. I mean, it was just something that I did not know. I used to hear my mom say all the time that she was not going to be with me long and I needed to pay attention. I needed to be obedient and do the things that she told me to do. And I used to say to her, "Yeah, mom, nobody's you're going to be here forever." I used to just think that I never would have thought that I was going to lose her at the age of 16, but I did. So yeah, I was devastated. Mm, I remember feeling numb. I remember feeling confused, feeling alone, even though I wasn't alone. So, all of those different emotions I felt during that particular time. Um, and it's amazing because even with me communicating with my brother, I'm the youngest of two. So, my mom had two children, and my brother, um, 7 years older than I am. And we still to this day have not really talked about how the impact was, how it really felt that day or that, you know, in that moment. So this is just a healing process to for me to be able to even discuss it right now. I know I've talked to you about certain things, but I might even share some stuff that you probably have never heard of. And yeah, so yeah, devastated. It hurt really, really bad within. Um, with that being said, tell me, um, how did it feel for you to know that? To I don't know. Do you remember exactly what age it was when you really understood? And I discussed that, the loss of my mom.
Um, no, I don't really know the age or when you really started discussing the how you lost your mom and when you lost her. I think I always kind of felt a little weird or awkward when it came around family. Um, I don't think you even maybe when I was younger you sat down and talked to me, but I really can't recall when if you sat me down or said anything. I just always felt weird when I guess when your mom that adopted you, when I get around there, it was kind of like I feel like family, but it's like something is like weird. Like I know something else transpired in order for us to be family. So like I always had that like feeling. But other than that, I don't recall being younger and you telling me about the loss of your mom. I just know growing up and like people talking about it, and then I started experiencing things, and I was just kind of like, I wonder what it would be like, what life would be like if she was here. So I know I have those like emotional days or emotional moments. But other than that, I don't recall, you bringing it up when I was growing up. So I have another question. With that being said, I have another question for you, Mom. How do you think the loss of a parent influences someone's outlook on life and family? Have you noticed any ways this has plays out in your own relationships?
The loss of my mom just really impacted my life so much until, I mean, everything was a blur to me in that moment. And so there were a lot of people around me, but at the same time, losing your mom, I mean, it was just like I lost a part of me. Like I just didn't know who and where I could take my direction from that point on. I had family members that were around me, and they were some pretty good influences. But at the same time, it was just nothing like your mom. I mean, for a long time, well, my brother was in the service, so it was just me and her for a long time together, and so it just in that moment it it just, I don't know, the experience of losing her impacted me greatly to the point to where I really didn't know what direction I was going to go in. I was feeling really lost on who I needed to listen to. I had a lot of people in my ear, from one situation to the other, and it was just I didn't know what direction I wanted to go to as far as I knew I was going to finish high school. As a matter of fact, when she passed away, I talked to my brother and I thought my brother was going to take me, but he was stationed in Germany at the time and he had a family, he was married and had already started his family and everything. But I just assumed he would be the next of kin, right? And he was of age to where he could take me. But he explained to me he thought it would be in my best interest to stay here to finish school. And so I did. But not knowing how I was going to make it through my last school year, it was just a little shaky situation. It was, in making college choices, I was just totally lost of it all and making career choices. So yeah, it just influenced me. The people around me influenced me to the point, but I was still just so numb to not knowing what direction I wanted to go in. So did you feel when I told you about my birth mom and I told you that I was adopted? So my situation is really sensitive. It's one of those things where I have a birth mom, and then I was adopted. So it's a big story in this. So I have two different. So when I say mom, sometimes I'm referring to my birth mom. I have to remember to tell you that, or either I'm talking about my current mom, which technically she's my cousin, but I call her my mom because she really stepped in a period of time where I really needed that connection. And I'm just thankful that God gave me another connection of that, to have someone tangible where I can really speak to and care for me like a mother would. But how did it feel when you found out that I was adopted? Did you have any reservations or issues about it? And yeah, so tell me your experience with that.
I don't think I really had any issues about it, because your adopted mom, uh, we love her. She's super sweet. She's an amazing human being. I think one of the best human beings on this planet. But she just has love. Like if you ever wanted to see somebody walk out love in a Christian lifestyle, I look at her every day. It's like, she gets the best hugs. She just has love for everybody. Like no matter what you say you are or whatever group of people you feel like you're in, she just whatever it is, she just puts loves on top of it. Um so I don't really think I had any problems other than growing up and maturing and realizing I don't have like a birth grandmother around. I guess I remember being at school and it was Day of the Dead. And I think that's October 31st. I don't want to mistake
Yeah,
some.
it's like November 1st, November 2nd, somewhere around there. So it's right after Halloween is when, because you went to a Catholic school, so yeah, that's when they recognize that day.
Right. So I think it was last year, it was my senior year, and I don't know what was going on. I was cool, I was chill. It was on Zoom and the teacher had to put it on Zoom on the like classroom board. And I think the oh, what is the position called? The campus ministry, whatever. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but I think he was just like, meditate and reflect on, loved
Yeah,
ones.
the campus minister.
Just pause and reflect on loved ones that you have, grieved or you are grieving. And I immediately thought about her. And it's like everybody else was like, I just miss being around my person. We went around the room and shared, and it was like, y'all miss being around your person, but I never met my person. It's like weird. And so I didn't know if I was crazy for like grieving somebody I never knew, I never met. And I think I started crying in the middle of the classroom, and whatever other note we wrote, I guess to the loved one or how we felt, I think we could put it on the wall or put it in a box or something. So I was going down the hall to like put it in a box, and I was just having a meltdown. And one of my history teachers thought I was getting bullied. It's just like, where's your mom? I can take you to your mom. And I was just having a meltdown. And she was like, who did it? Like, I'll write them up. She was just trying to figure out what was going on. And when I went to my mama, I was like, I miss, I never had experience with grandma, and I just desire her. And, we just had a heart to heart moment. And mama kind of dropped everything and kind of consoled me in that moment. So other than that, there are days when like, oh, I wonder what it would be like if she was here, if we was in this situation. Cause y'all, my mama get together in people save mode. She tries to do it in the most Christian way possible. But what I've always heard was my grandmother was filled with the Holy Ghost, but she was a cusser too. So I always wonder, like, would grandma be cussing right now, or would she quote a scripture after her cuss word? Like, what would that be like? But other than that, I think I've had a pretty good life, a pretty good experience with dealing with everything.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe you brought that up about her being a cusser. You are so right about that. And that was one of the things that I decided long time ago that I was not going to do. Even when she used to punish me or reprimand me, she used to always, boy, she could put them together. She could fashion those words together. I'm telling you, like never before. And you just be like, what? Coming out of her mouth. And then she'll be like, come in here so we can pray. Because I didn't mean to say all of that, and we need to, we're gonna have to do better. And I be saying to myself, you gonna have to do better because it came out of your mouth. But I used to just I wanted to make sure that I did not have that, like, because I thought my mom was the best mom in the world, and surely most people do. She was a strong person, but I just didn't want that part to be a part of my life. Like I was like, I'm not screaming and yelling and hollering. Now I might raise my voice a little bit, and I think you probably do it a little bit more than I do nowadays. Because I'm like, what is she? What is she raising her voice? Who is that? But I I made a pact. I told myself I was not going to have that type of language. And so yeah, when I get upset, I will try to get things together. Or, if I get in an argument, it's not going to be those words coming out of my mouth. I'm going to find a way to express myself other than cursing someone out, because I learned a long time ago people that use curse words really don't know what to say in that moment. And um, they can be so full of anger till they said nothing at all. And so I just learned not to use those words. But yeah, that's funny, Amelia.
Y'all, this is getting good, but I want to take a moment and I want to uh let our sponsors have a word for a moment. So we're going to be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
Join Beauty for Ashes Ministries, empowering women for life's journey. Are you ready to grow in your faith, strengthen your family, and pursue your dreams? Beauty for Ashes Ministries is here to help you transform every aspect of your life. Whether you're a single mom, newly married, or stepping into entrepreneurship, we provide the support you need to flourish spiritually and practically. Through workshops, small groups, and mentorship, you'll gain a deeper connection with your faith and purpose, effective parenting skills for raising confident, faith-filled children, support for both single and married women, offering guidance and community, practical tools for launching or growing your business. Join us and discover how God can bring beauty from every challenge, equipping you to live a life full of purpose, joy, and success. Call 205-615-1912 to join Beauty for Ashes Ministries today.
Are you ready to experience the fire of inspiration, the power of transformation, and the spirit of revival? Introducing Amelia Smith, a dynamic motivational speaker, a passionate singer, an anointed evangelist, an inspiring youth leader, and a dedicated intercessor.
I just want to encourage the young people. Sometimes as young people, we go through certain things, we lose certain things, and we can get down about it. But God still has a calling and an anointing over our lives. Just as Joshua did, and the Lord had to push Joshua through because he had to finish the work that Moses had started to push them through. So I want to speak to the young people. Your parents, I don't know who brought you, your family brought you to church this evening because they're trying to plant a seed in your heart. Because it's some things that they started, but you're the one that has to carry it through the other generations. So I speak to you. I speak over your life that sometimes when we go through these things, we feel like that it won't work out for us. But I encourage you tonight, and I want to let you know that all things work together for the good of those who love Jesus.
Whether you need to uplift your congregation, ignite a spark in your youth, or bring your event to life with empowering messages and heartfelt worship, Amelia Smith brings it all. With her unique ability to connect with people of all ages, she inspires change, fuels purpose, and leads with the heart of a servant. Book Amelia today for your next conference, youth event, worship night, or retreat, and watch lives be transformed. Because when Amelia speaks, hearts listen. When she sings, souls are lifted, and when she prays, mountains move. Call 205-615-1912 to book Amelia Smith today. Don't miss the opportunity to bring Amelia Smith to your next event. Book today and be a part of a life-changing experience.
All right, we are back. So thank you for sticking with us on here for the For Real podcast. We're gonna start back exactly where we left off. And this is about to get deeper. So buckle your seatbelts in. We're about to get in here. All right, mommy. So we're gonna start talking about your perspective on parenting. So my question for you is, how did losing your mother influence your perspective on motherhood? And did you approach raising me with different priorities or values because of her loss?
Um, so my mom was very stern. So yes, I would say some of her values, principles. She was a nice woman, but very stern. She meant what she said, and that was just point blank. Period. And when I look back at it, about her being a single parent, she did the best she could with what she had. And so, um, yeah, I took a lot of those things head on, and I started thinking when I found out that I was pregnant with you. I thought about a lot of different things. And let me just say that you are my third child. You are my only living child. So the process of this thought pattern I did before, but it was once again one of those heartfelt situations because my first two did not make it. And so I just was very prayerful with you, hoping and praying that the Lord would allow you to make it through, and that I have a good, healthy baby. And so He did. And I was just blessed with that. But yes, I took a lot of the principles, a lot of the values that my mom had raising me. But there were some things that, like I told you before, like with the cursing, how she disciplined me. There were a lot of things that I just thought, well, maybe I need to pray about this and tweak this for a child that is born in 2000 versus when I was being raised in the 70s and 80s. I think one of the things that parents have to be mindful that it may have been good at that particular time, but you have to think about, can this be improved, or what's being done now to, is it effective? Because some things that you probably was doing back then is as effective today. So yeah, I was really, really intentional, and your father and I made some decisions early on, like for instance your schooling. I mean, your dad and I were products of public school, and don't get me wrong, I have nothing against public schools. I really don't. I enjoyed my experience, and for what it was worth, there were some things that I felt like could have been better for me. But for what it was worth, I think it was. I had a great education in my early childhood and in my high school years. But we felt like you would not be a good fit for public school. So we felt like we needed to go a different route, and that's what we did. I had an issue with so much that was going on, and you not have religion as a factor. I also looked at the church and realized that um, Sunday school wasn't Sunday school the way it was when I was growing up. We had BTU, Baptist Training Union, where you that was another meeting that you go to learn scriptures, learn the different principles and books of the Bible. So we didn't have those type of things going through the church like it was. So I wanted you to have a faith based um, experience in your school, and I wanted the principles to be faith based. And let's just be honest, public school you can't get that. So we decided to look for other education, like Christian schools and different things like that. And the best thing we could find that we could afford was put you through Catholic school. And it was a battle between, we're not Catholic, should we do this? How much of this um, is going to be, is this going to be a negative influence on her or not? And we found it to be the place where you needed to be. And so we we um, we're thankful that we did that, and we're thankful that we were able to do it not just starting in preschool, but taking you all the way through your 12th grade year in high school. You stayed in Catholic school, so we were blessed for that. And thinking about some things that I experienced too as a young person. When my mom passed away, I just experienced a whole lot that last year. It was really devastating to me, to the point to where I was in between two homes. Um so I was staying with one family member over the weekends and another family member throughout the week. So it just depends on whose house I was at and what I was doing, that played a, that it was just difficult. It was difficult. I didn't have a place of my own to really say I was home. I really lost that. And some of the things that were being done to me, even though they loved me and cared for me, I just didn't appreciate it. I didn't like it. And where I was, it was just so strenuous for me, the things that they had me going. I mean, look, I came from being at home with just my mom, me and my mom. I mean, we had just the simple task of washing clothes was different. I used to wash clothes without any problem, hang my clothes up and let them dry or whatever. And when my mom passed away, I was taken to the laundromat. Now, everybody else in the households were able to use the washer and dryer. Both homes had washers and dryers, but I, of course, couldn't use them. I had to go to the laundromat to wash my clothes and just things like that. I was like, this not make. I don't feel good. I don't feel good about myself. I didn't feel right, even when it just simple things of preparing, going to school. So all of that affected everything that I decided in my adult life, like taking a bath. Taking a bath seems to be kind of normal, something that you would like to do. And I was awarded to do that. But taking a bath was just one of those things. You can't run with so much water in the tub because since you're here, it was said by adults, I don't want my water bill to go up because you're here. I don't, so I never felt like I belonged. Um, so I wanted a smaller environment for you in education so you could never feel like you are outcast. I wanted you to be able to feel like you're home at home and you're at home away from home. So those were things psychologically that was going on in my head that played I'm getting emotional that played a big part of it all. And I used to discuss those things with my husband, and he understood what I was talking about. He really understood. So we were intentional about a lot of different things. Um, and so yeah, I hope I answered your question, but um, yeah, I was trying to think of what else I could add to that. Do you have anything else you might want to ask me to help me?
No, but that's just challenging to go through. Just as an individual, that's a lot. So,
That is
um,
a lot.
yeah, I commend you for going through it, and I'm glad God prepared you. And it's crazy because sometimes God has to allow us to go through certain things in order for the other generation to come out on top. And I'm grateful that God gave you one of the toughest battles, so I would be able to be where I am today. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, and it started to feel better and get better when I started um, unmuting myself. That's why I struggle with words right now today, because I was told not to speak on those things. And so I um I was very quiet about what I was going through. And back then, of course, no one offered you counseling. Counseling was not one of those things that you would go to, you know. If you told somebody you needed to go see a counselor back when I was, losing my parents, they thought you were really crazy. You'll probably end up, you know, I don't know, being admitted or something. So you couldn't just necessarily go get counseling to strengthen or to process, help process the things that you were going through. So yeah, that was. Oh, what were you about to say?
I
Were
wasn't
you about?
about to say anything. I was just about to let you continue. And then I wanted to remind you, like we said, this the for real podcast. We gonna cry, we gonna laugh, we might even scream, but we gonna drizzle some love in between it so we can keep it pushing.
That's right. That's right. I believe that my story can help someone understand and know that sometimes we think that we're the only ones that go through things,
Yeah,
and sometimes we think that what we are going through is hard to persevere through it. But I do believe that as long as you continue to pray and ask God to take charge over your life, He will see you through.
yeah.
Um, and He has. He has definitely seen me through a lot of different things. But so help me out. What else do you want to know about? You think I should share? I wanted to ask you, um, how has my parenting helped shape you or influence you um for today?
So, I want to talk about how your birth mom has kind of shaped mine as well, shaped my experience with loss, and how it shaped my life as well. And then I'll talk about you. And it's crazy. It's like, how can somebody you never met or shape your life? But I can deal with loss differently because of her experience. I guess with her not being here, I deal with grief differently. And I don't know, I don't want to say that I deal with it differently. I don't know, because I feel like I haven't had the most traumatic thing to happen to me. And other people grieve differently and they face different things. But I can say for me, I lost both of my grandparents on my dad's side. And I was okay. I cried. I cried at the funeral. I cried before and after. I still have moments where, I can get emotional about it. But most of the time when we see our type of funerals, uh, we act a fool. You go up there, you wail and holler and kick and scream, and you try to knock the casket over. I even at one of my grandparents' funeral, a cousin of mine even projectile in their hand. So it was just kind of like, if you never seen a movie before, it was in front of you. It was a movie. So I was just kind of like, for me, I was emotional. I was crying, but I had no way of acting out like that. It wasn't in my head um to act out that way. And I just I just think because I was in a different mind spiritually, y'all raised me and trained me on the things of God, and I already knew to be absent from the body was to be present with the Lord. So yes, I'm sad that they're not here, but they're with the Lord and they're in a better place. No more pain, no more sickness, no more medication and trying to figure out what pills you need to take. And it just, you don't have to worry about life. You're just with Jesus. And then I also just thought about the pledges of the Lord. We this Bible says that at the right hand of the Father there are pledges for evermore, and we never tap into the pleasures. I don't think we have the experience yet to tap into the pleasures of the Lord. We always often tap into the pleasures of the world. And when it comes to loss and grief, I think it's almost like a button in our brain to almost like, I don't know if somebody or people are like, in order for somebody to know that I lost or understand that I'm losing, go crazy. I don't know if that's like a button or a snap, like, cause sometimes I've seen it, like even at my grandparents' funeral, we're all okay when we're lining up. We're good when we're, trying to come in. But as soon as we walk into the church, it's what happened 2.5 seconds ago. We were cool. So I don't know if it's like a button that goes off when we're like, hey, in order for people to know that you're grieving, in order for people to know that you're confused and lost, scream, holler, and wail. I don't know if that's a thing or what that is about, but for me, I just I just deal with loss differently. Um and I think you have taught me as well to just prioritize that value, that Christian value, that no matter what I go through, God is there. Emmanuel. I always say that often, like Emmanuel, just to know, like if people always like, I feel alone. And there was a period of time in my life where I felt alone. And I was like, Mama, you know what? I don't know about this God thing. I ain't feeling him. He ain't talking to me. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, well, if you don't feel him and you don't hear from him, who moved? Because he's Emmanuel. He said he will never leave you nor forsake you. So if he will never leave or forsake you, you moved. I was like, what does that mean? Have you been in your word? No. Okay, then you need to get back in your word. You're not studying, you're not spending time with him. So of course you're gonna feel distant because you're not doing your part in a relationship. So you just training me that in that biblical manner, and then just I guess the having the loss of my grandmother, my I never met her or anything. I just deal with things differently. Just with the way you trained me. I just deal with loss differently. And I want to ask you, uh how does the experience of loss shape the way that we love and protect and nurture those closest to us?
Well, I first want to say that yeah, I think I did intentionally, and I still am trying to teach and train you um, about just having a loss. Because first of all, um, no one is here permanently forever. And those things that my mama used to say a long time ago, that she wasn't gonna be there with me forever. She was preparing me, and I didn't realize that she was preparing me. And I wanted to prepare you early on, and I know there's been some conversations, some things that we'll have a discussion about. You be like, "Mom, I don't want to talk about this right now," But I felt compelled in letting you know. So I've always told you, even in when we have had family members right in front of us, those who were close to us, dear to us, and we just knew them. During transition, when they have transitioned on to be with the Lord, um, it was you have to take the memories that you have of that loved one, store them in your heart, and do the best you can and try to press on because you're still living, you're still here. And, um, I really felt like a part of me had left with my mom when she passed away, but that was just because I was at my age, no one prepared me to know that I can stand on my own. And it wasn't until when I became an adult and I realized that the Lord was holding me up and this was his plan for me all along. And so, yeah, what was your question though? I just wanted to make sure that I say that part because we have to be intentional in teaching and training our loved ones, our children, that we none of us are here forever, and we have to live our lives like that. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be sure, and have that assurance that you are living a life that you should be proud of, in leaving a legacy for your loved ones to be able to talk positively about you. But so what was your
My question was, oh my goodness. How does the experience of loss shape the way we love and protect and nurture those close to us? And then just talk about bring in the future, like how does preparing for the future, or how do you try to prepare for the future as well as dealing with relationships and family?
Well, when it comes down to relationships, I want to be as intentional as possible. I know with you shed a lot of light. You brought me back into the fellowship of wanting to be with my family. For a long time, I isolated myself because of the things that I had experienced, and I never got a chance to process it. When you just dig a hole and put your thoughts and your feelings in a hole and never deal with it, one day you're going to have to deal with it. It's going to come to fruition that you've got to work those things out. But when you were born and you start and got older and start asking questions, who is my family? Where are they? And this, you wanted to get to know your people. You wanted to get to know your dad's side, you wanted to get to know my side. And so um I had to open my heart. It wasn't that I didn't really like to be around people, but I had isolated myself for that particular reason, because I've always felt alone, and I just thought that that's the way it was supposed to be. But when you start to ask questions, I start opening up, and it's like, well, maybe I need to get to know my sisters a little bit more. For those of you who don't know, I have five beautiful sisters that I was able to be adopted into the family of. And I went from being the youngest with my birth mom into being the oldest with this group. And so it was six of us, six girls. And I was like, well, maybe I need to open up and learn how to get into their world, and really get to know them, and not so much as being a disciplinary, but just being a person, just being a friend. And then I started just extending myself a little bit more to even my mom, Mama Vanessa. Now, she has done so much for me. I could remember when I had to go through the courts. I was 16, but I still had to go through the court system, because where I was, I just did not like where I was living, and the things that was going on. I felt like I couldn't continue to be in the choir, the band, and do all those things that I like to do. I think it just felt like my whole world was falling apart. So one day I talked to my mama Vanessa, which is my cousin in real life, and we all attended the same church. But I was just expressing to her that I did not like where I was, and she took it upon herself to fight for me. She was the only one who fought for me and listened to me on where I was. And she didn't have the money. I know she did it, but she went and got me a lawyer. Um, we just had to go through the system, the court system. And finally, if she hadn't gone through that, I probably would have had to go through foster care a short period of time, because I was determined not to go back to where I was. And I love my family. I love my people who were really trying to do the best they can. It was just not what I was accustomed to. Let's just put it like that. So I'm not here to make anybody feel bad about their situation. It just wasn't what I was accustomed to. And I needed I needed that. I needed to be able to go to church. I needed to be able to um, have go back to my normal as much as I possibly can. So, with that being said, I just think, like I said, I thank my mama Vanessa for getting a lawyer and fighting for me, and she really got me to a place to where I felt like I had a home, and I really fit in and had family. So even now, I try to extend myself or check on my family and stuff. Certain family members is easier than others. But we all have to keep trying and doing the best we possibly can. And so I don't want to ever get to the point to where I don't talk to anybody at all. I don't want to get back to that place. And I'm thankful of you for really exploring that side and wanting to be in fellowship with family members and friends, and it grows you. It teaches you how to be a friend. You, in order to have a friend, you got to be a friend. In order for you to have good relationship, you need to start with your family. You need to and that's just the way the Lord designed it to be. He never intended for family to have fallout moments where people are not talking or not being around each other. We hear that a lot. We see that a lot. It is portrayed in the movies, on the videos, and that it becomes a sense of reality. But if you know God, like I know God, it's not supposed to be that way. And so somebody has to have the sense in the matter um to make it happen and make things work better on your behalf and everything.
Yeah, so that's good, mommy. So, with building relationships, with building, making sure that you're connected to your family, that helps the future. To make sure your other family members get connected, but not only that, it just helps us be better all together. I just want to talk about future planning. We don't like talking about future planning, wheels and where would we be, because for you, you have a sensitive story. Like you were saying, if grandma Vanessa didn't get a lawyer, you probably would have been in foster care, and things happen where uh loved ones pass away and they might not have a will, or they like for you, your mom had some money left over for you, and she had her funeral planned out of how she wanted things, but she didn't have where you needed to go and who you needed to be with. So it was kind of like everybody was, you were going through two separate households, and you're like, yeah, I can't be here. So, how did your mother's passing make emphasis on your life with planning future things and will planning and all that type of things?
Okay, well, so um, having a will. If you have children, and I'm just going to put this out here, if you have children, you need a will or you need a trust. And a lot of times people think that they don't need to have those things, especially if they don't have property. I know my mom was not a home owner. We lived in an apartment. But at the same time, she still needed a will. She still possibly needed a trust, um, because when those things go into probate court, it takes a period of time for your loved ones to really get released, to get the funds released that they may need to even help bury you, or maybe help make further plans on the house, or just different things like that. So a will is very, very important. My mom did not have a will, which means she did not have per se where I was supposed to go. And that's what prompted me to think that it was going to be my brother, which was going to be, which was the next of kin. But since that didn't happen, I had family members to step in and just automatically decide, not saying that, look, you know, this is the best place for you. This is just where you got to go, period. Because, I had family members to tell me, don't nobody else want you. You may as well go ahead and do what you got to do. So this is what you got. Deal with it. Um, and who wants to hear that when you're going through the most traumatic time of your life? But having a will would establish that. And I don't take godparents lightly. I had godparents. My mama used to tell me who my godparent was, and I knew who she was. But when my mom passed away, my godparent did not at all come to my rescue. Neither did she give me any type of support. And that just made me think that at that particular time, when my mom said that she was my godparent, it was just in word only and not in deed. So um I decided that I was going to take and really understand what a godparent is, because I did not want that for you if it was just going to be somebody just in word. So even with when we were getting close to giving birth to you, your dad and I strategically prayed about that and talked about it. And we just automatically knew that the Lord had already placed your godparents in our lives anyway. They were the best. They were Milton's best friends anyway, and I just took a liking to them. And it was just amazing how their family operates so much like ours. They I don't it's just hard to explain, but I didn't even know them, and their spirits were kindred when I met them, and I automatically knew that that was going to be a safe place for you. And so, word to everyone that's listening: if you have children and you've placed these people, you're thinking about godparents or have labeled godparents, and they're really not there for your children, think that over. Because I mean, godparents is someone that's supposed to be able to take the torch if something were to happen. Take over. Um, or you need to define what it is for you. But I know for us, we wanted to make that clear. And so, yes, a will would have been so much better if my mom had one. And so that's why I talked to um, Milton, and we were putting those things in place that our
that our
our parents
parents
have. And so it's very important. Having a trust is very important. And I think African American families probably look down on stuff like that because there's a lot of paperwork, or you got to get a lawyer, to get advice on how to do different things like that, and get things done through the courts. But it is so well needed. It's just one of those conversations and things that you have to do. I don't see how people can invest in Bitcoin or they can invest in stock, but they cannot talk about what is best for their children. They cannot get a will done or a trust done for their children. It's very important because you don't know what life or when your day is going to come. You hope to see your children off in marriage and everything, you graduate from college, um, but you don't know what that is. I was so emotional when you graduated from high school, Amelia, because my mom never got a chance to see me graduate from high school. And just with us voting together the other day, I've taken you to the polls several times, and they would give you a little sticker like you voted too, but you weren't of age. But we finally got to that point. You became a registered voter, and I got an opportunity to see that. My mama didn't see me cast my first vote at the polls. So it was just so emotional for us to experience that. And I think We are just living life, and building memories together. And it's just been such a joy. But yes, having a trust, having a will is very important, Amelia. It's very important.
Yeah, I know it. I know it is, and I think you and Dad for just establishing that and notifying who my godparents is, because you're right. We could just get that godparent word, that godparent phrase, and we could just toss it and throw it around and just slap it on somebody's name. And when it comes time for that child to need something, that child doesn't have anything from their godparents, or either they have multiple godparents and you don't know who and where the child or children are going to spend, something was to happen, where they would spend most of their time with. And I remember growing up, and I would be a little girl and we would always go, because my godparents moved out of the state of Alabama, so we would always go down there, visit with them. And as I got older, we would stop doing that. And I would tell y'all, I would be like, listen, if something would have happened to y'all and that's where I gotta live, we gonna have to build some relationship, some more relationship. Something has to go on. And I remember, I think they were coming in town for a business opportunity or something. And mom texted and was like, "Hey, y'all are in town. We need to get lunch." And so they kind of stopped everything and came over and ate lunch. And y'all just established, like, y'all know that if something were to happen to us, Amelia would live with y'all. And we kind of got a better understanding, and we started bonding more and all that stuff. So I just appreciate you all just taking that time out and just making sure I'm good and everybody else knows where I'm going, because they may understand that they're godparents and I'll be over there, but Auntie Boo Boo and Ray Ray and them and Cousin Ed and Cousin Ted may be like, Amelia coming with me, so making sure that everybody else understands that these are Amelia's godparents. They take well care of her. They make sure she's good. That's who she's gonna go to. So the next question that I want to ask you is, what values or lessons from your birth mother do you try to pass down to me, even though she wasn't physically able to share?
So the values that she was a strong woman, and whatever she started, she saw it through. So that was one of my philosophies, that if I started something, I want to be able to finish it, and I wanted to um, do a great job at it. So I was very intentional about a lot of choices that I made. I made sure in raising you, you understood that, like, for instance, if you wanted to cheer, I remember when you decided you wanted to cheer, when you wanted to play soccer, when you wanted to do all these different activities, be in a drama club, you couldn't decide that, yeah, today I'm going to be in on this team and I'm going to do this, but tomorrow I quit because it's gotten challenging. No, you're going to have to suck it up. You're going to have to endure that challenge. And so I learned early on she was a woman of endurance. I watched her sometimes walk from our apartment to her job downtown. And I'm talking about from the west side to downtown. But she was determined. So I took that determination, flipped it, molded, and that's what I decided that I wanted to be, a woman of integrity, a woman of determination. And so I could remember she was resilient, and very smart, very artistic. I did not um, get her artistry work. Like, I can't draw, but I definitely try to. I do
You can
abstract
you can
painting.
paint and craft.
Yeah, I love to craft. I have the skill to create something that's either in my head or a picture that I've seen. I can create that. I'm really good at uh, floral designing. She was a stickler for colors, and I can see how that was something that instilled in me. I love putting palettes together, shades of color. And so that grew into a little business for me because every now and then I get a chance to do a little wedding here and baby shower there and different things like that. So, but yeah, I learned a lot of things from her that I've poured into you as well. And you have grown into a beautiful butterfly, um, all because of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you did the work of trying to take the good nuggets that you learned from your mom and kind of pass it down, because we already talked about how your mom was a same woman. She was a good woman, but she was a cusser. And so uh I've never heard you cuss. You didn't raise me to cuss. Like a lot of my generation, they mom would be like, "Girl, your mama don't cuss you out." I'd be like, "No, my mama has never ever cussed me out." It was like, "Girl, when I got to come, my mama called me a B word." And I call one right back. And I'm like, whoa, I never dealt with that. And I just look at that. I'm like, why would I call my seed that? Because what am I if I was to call my seed that? They came from me. So, I mean, just crazy stuff and how you just kind of did the work, because I feel like looking at my generation, some of the Gen X and baby boomers, they kind of parent based off what their parents wanted them to, and they were kind of like, okay, if a kid had a correct fact or needed to voice something, they were kind of like, you're in grown folk stuff, stay over here. And if you were to get into something, or they will try to encourage you not to get into something, they will say, "Hey, don't go over there and do that." And you're like, "Why did they tell me not to go over there and do that?" So you would want to go over there and test it out to figure out what they were talking about. And so my generation is kind of generation. Look, you can tell me not to do it, but I need a why behind it, because if you don't tell me why, I'm gonna go over there and play with the fire, and then I'm gonna get burned and realize, okay, that's why you said not to mess with that. So I'm grateful that you've kind of dissected and taking the things that are good and kind of flip the bad things. Because here I have a voice, I can speak. I would be like, "Mom, well, that ain't what happened Tuesday. We talked Monday, about so and so and so and so. Let's try to rethink that." But I still have to be respectful. Okay, I still have to maintain respect. Uh, so y'all have opened up in different ways. We have table talks where y'all are able to sit me down and look. If you go over here and do this, and this, you're gonna get this results. Do you want that result? No, ma'am, I do not. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna do what I need to do so I can make sure I don't have those outcomes and results, and just think different things to try to come out with. Because the older generation would tell you, don't go over there and touch that hot stove, and you would wonder why, and you go over there and touch it and be like, "Oh, okay, that's why they didn't want me to touch it." So I just love the fact that we are more open here. We have table talks. We all communicate, instead of trying to shut each other out. And even as parenting, I feel like discipline is different. It should have been different, but I don't know. A lot of the older saints or the older generations, they always say, "Spare the rod, spoil the child," which is not directly quoted in the Bible. If you have a problem with me saying this, I'll meet you in the comment section when we get off. Praise God. Or you can DM me. Okay, I'll pull in some scripture. Okay, spare the rod, spoil the child is not directly quoted in the scripture. So, I think the older generation's first mentality was just always grab a belt, whoop them, and that would drive out the evil spirit. And for me, I remember whoopings. I remember, being at the table trying to memorize those spelling words, and my mom was like, "Write the word, read the word, say the word." And then if I didn't get it, I would get in trouble. I would get a whooping. Those, and I always tell my mom, I was like, I don't remember like the whoopings reminded me never to do it again. The whoopings remind me to don't do it because you don't want a whooping. You don't want to get hit again. And I remember being in a situation where, as we talked about, we've been talking about this a lot, how my grandmother was a cusser and my mom never really taught me that. She never really talked to me any kind of way like that. And they were getting ready to prepare me for a phone. And one of the parents texted her and was like, "Girl, they got a group chat and they in here cussing up a storm." And our mom kind of just like flipped. She was like, see, now you're not getting the phone. Now you're not doing any of this. I think I got a whooping too. I think I got a whooping, but I don't even remember the whooping. I remember the sit down talk that they gave to me. I remember my dad getting emotional. And y'all, I've never seen my dad cry. So that day, when I saw my dad cry, I was like, "Oh, I have lost my marbles. What was I thinking?" So he was just like, "I was just telling people you were on the AB honor roll and you were doing good in school and you were doing this, that, and the third, and then here you are in group chats just cussing up, and that's not what we're trying you to do. And just trying to be in that realm of fitting in, and then you came right behind it and you made me write down every cuss word I said in that group chat. You made me take out the dictionary. I had to write the meaning and the definition. You came behind it was like, what are you using the B word for? That is a female dog. You are not a female dog. Who are you? Why are you talking to yourself? That's not who you are. So I just remember like the sit down conversations, just talk that kind of did me more justice than the whoopings. Cause sometimes I feel like as parents, that's kind of like the first mentality we go to. That's like an emotional response because it's like, why would my child do something like that? And your anger instead of trying to settle in and be like, okay, God, let me calm myself down and you tell me how do I need to discipline my child instead of first trying to go up, get a belt and do the. I feel like it's other forms of discipline, and y'all have definitely showed that to me as I've grown up. And you always say you have to parent differently. Like you can't talk to the like I'm 2 and I'm 18. So you always say there's stages to this. And I don't know how y'all.
Well, I learned, I think you were 8 or 9, and I realized that the things that I had experienced myself. 'Cause my mom used to whoop me all the time. I mean, I could look at her wrong and get a whooping. That was how deep it was. My mama didn't play, y'all. I'm telling you, she was a good person, but if you looked at her wrong, you said something in your mind, and she just wanted to get you for what you said that she didn't even know you said it. But it was just the fact that you looked at her and she know you said something wrong. So she was just she was off the top, like you and then the punishment behind it. She meant what she said. The way y'all punish, or people punish their kids now is 24 hours, or go stand in timeout for 2 seconds and then it's over. You know what? So yeah, it was brand new mercy for me in my house, but it was more than 24 hours or more than 2 minutes. It was just one of those things. Look, you know, and so at first I started parenting based on what I had experienced, but I realized that you were a different kind of kid, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not. It's not working for her. This is not reaching. And then, like you said, that the whoopings weren't getting anywhere. But I realized that talking to you and reaching your heart was more defining, and so I had to teach your dad that, because your dad was one of those people like, oh, she finna get this, and stuff. And so I was just like, no, no, let's wait. And we would put, I don't know if you noticed, but we would put a length of time. At least I would try to put a length of time before we went back to really talk to you about this discipline, because I realized that I was doing it out of anger. So I realized that we had so many different stages as an adult to deal with, because I got angry, I was mad, and then I was shameful, and then I was this and that, you know what I mean? So I had to process all of that so it wouldn't come out in a physical realm where I could speak to your heart. And so that's how we decided to parent. And I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, she must be talking about the gentle parenting." No, it wasn't like that, sweetheart. It wasn't gentle, because I came to her so raw and uncut without a cuss word until she realized what she was really doing was, or what she had done, I would say, was like, oh, this is not what I should be doing. This is not what I should have even been involved. And so yeah, um, I am grateful that the Lord spoke to me and realized and showed me that there was more to parent. The scripture tells you that the rod of correction drives out the evil spirit. And so when you think about a rod, you're thinking about a staff or something that you put pressure to, you. And so you taught me also growing up by just the words you would say that a rod is more than a stick or more than a belt, more than a whip, more than, you know what I mean? Um the rod could be your words. And so I was like, wow, never thought of it or never looked at it that way.
And I don't even know how I thought of it that way, but now I'm just looking at it like, even just to think about Moses, like he had a staff, he had a rod, and how when Jesus told him to lay it out somewhere, it would turn into a snake. It would always transform into something, but it was still his staff. It was still his, stick that he had. So I just think about that as a kid. And I also just think about your discernment, how we talked earlier about how you felt like public schools weren't geared for me. And somebody, we did Bible study a couple of days ago, somebody came on there and said you can't take your oil everywhere. And that just blessed me, because when you were trying to figure out what school I would go to, private, Catholic or public, I can't imagine trying to fit in. Because I know when I was in public school, I was in that group chat, I was trying to fit in. That's why I started cussing, because everybody named mama was cussing. So I felt like in order for me to have friends, in order for me to be in a group, in a clique, that's what I had to do in order to be a part. So I can imagine having 10,000 classmates that were doing that, and then me trying to be me, be Christian, trying to stand up for myself, and that be overwhelming. Where compared, I have 20 classmates, and it may be a little bit here and a little bit there, but I can manage it and still, try to find my way through it all and still be taught Christian values at the same time. So it's kind of like I have that re-emphasis at home, at church, and then still in school, even though I may be doing wrong, but I still have that class or that teacher that has that belief in Christ and still can re-emphasize. So I'm grateful for you all's discernment in order to see where I need to go and where I need to be. So my last question for you, Mom, is what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind for the other generations to come after you? And how does planning for the future both emotionally and practically fit into your vision?
Oh, so the Lord gave me a vision a long time ago, um, to to just be a support to younger people. I've always worked with young people in the church, and then even after my career of doing hair, being a hair care technician for 30 years, I most of my clientele were children, and it was just one of those things that I was always being and trying to be a positive influence on the kids that I came in contact with, and then it, like I said, it just spilled over into another career of actually working in the schools where I have tried to be a positive light and influence as well. This is a whole nother ball game with older children compared to younger children. The older children, their minds are pretty much already set and focused, and so I have enjoyed trying to be impactful that way. But I know the Lord called me to try to be a light to anyone who's willing to receive it. So if you're looking for some other type of leadership or guidance or maybe mentorship, I'm here. I'm here to help. Amelia has allowed me, and she has shared me before with other young people and different things like that. And it's amazing how a lot of young people call me for different advice. And so I knew then that I had a voice to try to be a beacon of light to these kids and young people. And now I think the Lord is also moving me to parents, just speaking and encouraging parents, encouraging women, single or married,
to do the same, because I often hear people come up to me all the time and say, "Well, how did you do this to Amelia? She's this type of person, she's that type of person." But people don't understand that I was intentional from the very beginning. This is not something that I just woke up and decided to do when she was age 15. I
And
started.
let me say something. Not
Yeah.
only were you intentional, but you were subject to the Holy Spirit. I want to say that as well because a lot of times the younger parents, this younger generation, they feel like they have to try to figure out how to pull stuff out of a cloud. And it's not that hard. It's challenging. Any task that we get faced with is challenging, and we have to figure out how to adjust life and try to readjust and do things in order to fix things. But the Word of God can help you through any storm you go through. But it's just about the mind of having a mind of opening and reading it, and not just reading it, but reading it, studying it, exegeting the scriptures, and applying it to your life where things can solve out. So I mom not only started with me for young, but she also was subject to the Holy Spirit on what she needed to do as a parent. And I let's just re-emphasize that she didn't just start, because a lot of times we never want to work with our kids when they're 2 years old. They're like, oh, they're just two, they're just doing things. And then when they get 18 and then they're big old monster and they're taller than you and you don't know how to manage them, then you want to cry out for help. You should have did this 18 years ago. So not only did mom start off when I was young, but she was subject to the Holy Spirit. You could go ahead, mama.
And if you decide to, if you want to start because you did not start early and you want to start somewhere, just know God is in control, and He can come in and He can make any situation change on your behalf. You've got to pray and ask God to show you what it is that you need to do in that situation. And I guarantee you, things will turn around when you give it over to God, because nothing is impossible with God. Nothing. And so again, just being positive and just trying to be to serve others, and being a just being light. I am light, and I try to live by that on a day-to-day basis, that I am light.
Well, it's good, mommy. I appreciate you for answering all my questions. And we appreciate you all for tapping in with us tonight on the For Real podcast, where we have real life, real conversations, real stories that we may cry, we may laugh, we may scream, but we're going to drizzle a little love in between to make sure we can go for it. So thank you for tapping in. We thank you so much for tuning to this episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you share this broadcast with somebody else, because somebody else may need this. And we want to make sure that this message gets out. We love y'all. Thank y'all for tapping in. And we hope to see you all in the next episode. Bye.